I mean, one of the reasons that I spent so long trying to learn my craft as well as I could from a position of not having gone to film school was that when I finally directed, I had a sense of I didn't want to disappoint cinema, which is silly. Cinema has no feeling about itself. Cinema is just, a collection of what other people have made. But I felt like I loved the form so much, and movies have meant so much to me that I didn't want to somehow show disrespect or not feel like I was prepared for really the group of people I was asking to make it with me.
Like every movie feels like it's your first movie and last movie, so it's got that sort of feeling about it. And you kind of go like, well, there's certain themes that I come back to or whatever, this sort of alienation, the sort of peculiar thing. But the thing is, once those sort of feelings, you have those, they don't really leave you. You know what I mean? So I always try to, each film, maybe have short-term memory loss or something, but I do feel like I find something discovering it each time.
For me to feel strongly to sign on to something, it's two things. It's what the film represents as a whole, which sometimes changes by the time I see the movie again. I go, oh, it's a different message, but it doesn't matter. It's the feeling, the intention that I have going into it as the bigger picture of the project, and then you have to have, or at least I feel like for me, I have to have some sort of point of view where I feel like I'm the only one that can do this thing with that, with those words and with that, what that represents to me. Otherwise, I don't see, it has to grab me in some way.
I can really see a good reason for that Woody Allen policy of never looking into film again, because I don't know if it's good, it's bad, and if it's bad, it's also bad. There's absolutely no good reason to look at something you've done, really, because I don't know how you can approach it really as an audience. And also the mistakes that you made, you'll never really get a chance to rectify them in the future. You'll never quite be in that exact same spot again. So it feels almost best ignored.
It's always about the writing and how it engages you. And that can be structurally, or it can be dialogue, or it can be any number of things, but that's the hook, isn't it? And so if you have that, then you feel so powerful that you can flesh everything else out,
You can have 100 people saying that, oh yeah, I like that film. Or you get one person being like, that film is like something, it means something to me, and that's what you want to get every time. And you don't generally get it with a film made just purely for just straight entertainment. Actually, sometimes it does. Some people, like, the most random stuff means so much to anyone. There's always someone who's really affected by something. But I don't know. I like things that are really difficult. I'm not entirely sure how to predict how an audience will go for it.
I think when it comes to my job, I've always been aware that it's a job that you're very fortunate to do, and if you don't find parts of it fun, you're an idiot, and you're obliged to find it fun, and you've got to have the ability to laugh at yourself.
It's wonderful when that happens, when a scene sort of transcends what you thought it could be, and the scene takes you over in some ways. And then there was a very physical fight I have with a character in the film, and it was very extreme shooting it, because I said to Denis and to the stunt guy, I said, you can't choreograph it too much, because we have to play the reality in that she would be overpowered by somebody of his size. She thinks she's going to die. That's what the scene is. So it has to be a sort of desperate struggle. And we were very sore the next day. But funnily, when you do a scene like that and it creeps under your skin quite dramatically because it's so very physical, I couldn't sleep that night. It was interesting. I've never had that happen to me before, where I can't shake off the day.
You don't want to be a part of unambitious material, no matter what it is, whether it's in a franchise or it's a standalone movie or a gimmicky play or whatever it is. You want to at least try to be, have your intention to be involved with stuff that's going to be wicked, that's going to be new.
you watch other big movies, and it's just a bunch of strung together moments from other movies that are replicated for their movie. And boy, we hope you feel something. They know you're not going to feel anything because they don't either. And because they were too impatient to take the time to let them shoot it. Right?
You're always wrestling with how well you can articulate something, you know, and if it's something that's really subtle, and if it's something that's really, you know, personal, you know, you don't know how many people out there are going to go, oh yeah, I get what the narrator's talking about, or I understand what the cool girl speech is. You're hoping against hope that you've articulated it in the best possible way, and it's been concise, and it's not profound, but it's elegant or eloquently put, and that's what it is to communicate stories.
It's great when you're surprised or ambushed by something and it comes off the other actor. You know, you can do all the homework in the world, which of course an audience is deeply disinterested in, but if a character or an actor does something that you respond to it, it's acting, reacting. That's what it is. And maybe that just comes from doing the theatre. I sort of, even in a close-up, even if you can't actually look, because of the position of the camera, you can't look into another actor's eyes, you have to remember what they gave you because the scene exists between you. It's not an act of will of one actor. I think acting happens in a bit like dance. It's that suspended moment between two people.
Those moments of pure cinema I really kind of love, where it just becomes about juxtaposing image and sound and seeing what can result. I guess it's those moments where, to me, cinema gets close to music, where really the closest art form to it is music. And so it made sense to me that that's where we wanted to aspire with a lot of this film.
Every now and again, when things get really tough, you let yourself sit back and enjoy this enormous playground that we've created for our group, and the fun in which, even though things get hard, you can have great joy and great entertainment in that. For most of the time, you have to put blinkers on and really try and forget where you are and just watch it with the ruthlessness of an audience who is used to having all kinds of riches laid out before them, and takes that for granted, takes process for granted. It's not about how hard it was to make the film, it's about how does that shot move me as an audience member. And as the director on set, that's the mindset I have to be in most of the time.
Yeah, Chris is very adamant he enjoys the old-fashioned way of making films where what happens in front of the camera actually happens in front of the camera, and that's a little easier than everything being blue-screened or CGI'd afterwards. I think it's a little more convincing too, and authentic, if that's the right word. But it's certainly nicer for us as actors. It takes a little longer. You have to wait longer for things to be set up, but as Jack Nicholson says, they don't pay you to act, they pay you to wait.
The technical aspects of it, I don't really, it's not really something that I worry about. I try to fully immerse myself in the world and then fool myself into believing that that's actually happening, and then just like let it fly from there. I'm not ever really thinking about like, is it too big? Is it too small? I'm really just thinking like about what's happening in the scene and using my imagination to fool myself into believing that.
I'm in awe with technology, what they can do in post, you know, because when you're on set and you're surrounded by green screen and they kind of add dots on you, you have no idea what's going to be like in post. And I mean, they're so advanced, you know, it is pure magic. I'm in awe with those guys. I don't know how they do it. They're real magicians.
I've done a fair amount of green screen work in movies that were not of the kind of Spider-Man, everything is digitally painted in scale. So I've looked at ping pong balls with an X taped to them and imagined a person to be there before. But yeah, this requires a lot of childhood imagination to come up, and that is a great challenge. You definitely do expand after acting in a world that is not existent around you. But it's like a black box theater. You know, just imagining your environment isn't actually that tricky. It's when you're imagining a giant lizard or a huge blue electric man that it gets a little bit more challenging.